Welcome, this is Leicester Fan TV. Obviously, we're talking about the preview match coming up. We've got Palace on Saturday, really. Massive game back from international break. They've just reappointed old manager Roy Hodgson, 75-year-old, used to manage Palace, come back into the Premier League scene. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, we're going to see a different Palace side to what we've seen before, regardless if that's better or worse, but they're going to be different because they've got a new manager. We all know that happens. What's your thoughts going into this weekend, Reedy?
It's a difficult one because, again, people were saying these are 6 pointers, but the way I look at it is we've got 6 games now until the end of the season that are winnable games. Obviously, they're going to be winnable for them as well, but going into the Palace game, they've got a new manager. People are saying there's a manager bounce going to be there. I don't think that. I honestly don't think that Hodgson's going to do enough to get them going. That's just me. I honestly, we've not had the best of results recently when we've been to Palace, but I think this time round, the way they have been playing, obviously we've not won a game in 12. Obviously, it's not as good for us either, but now I honestly think we could go there and get at least a point, maybe even a win. But for me, I would say a point is probably, I'm happy with a point.
Yeah, I think the point's bare minimum against a team like Palace, as it is for a lot of the fixtures coming up. If we can't win, we just definitely can't lose. If we can't beat Palace, we can't let them beat us because that is a 6 pointer in there. If we lose to Palace, we'll be on 25 points and they'll push up 3 points ahead of us even further, which is what we need to not do. And like Roger did say a few weeks ago, it's in our hands now to win. So it is 100% in our hands. So we've got to beat what's in front of us. Obviously, it's a very tough week, let alone next weekend, because we've got Palace this Saturday. Then the following Tuesday, we've got Villa. And then the following week, we've got Bournemouth away. So it's a very tough week. And it would be 3 massive games in a week. That realistically, this time next week, if we beat if we beat Palace and we beat Villa, we might be saying we're a lot more comfortable than we were literally less than a week ago now. So I think going into this game, a lot of players I think will have confidence. Obviously, over international, seen a handful of players play. Like Dak has scored a couple of goals. Faiz, Castagna both been playing. I believe they played either yesterday for Belgium. I think they were both in the first team. Madison obviously getting his first start for England. Well, his first, starting from the starting 11. His second appearance in total for England. So there's a lot of confidence. I think they'll come back into the team. There's obviously a lot of players that have been on international duties, so there'll be a few that are coming back, and obviously you've got to focus on Leicester now. So it's a very tough game against Palace, but who would you start? Who would you say is your main 11 after seeing the international break?
Again, obviously I said it on the show a few days ago that I think the one reason why we've not been playing too well is just an inconsistency of the same team week in, week out. Like so, we play 3 up top 1 week, and then we play 2 up top in the 2 strikers formation. It just doesn't work for me. You've got to have a set team or a set 11 there and stay fit for the most of the season. And that's what happened when we won the league. But for me, I think Iverson starts in goal. Obviously, we've basically been told that he's going to have a run of games probably till the end of the season now, which is probably a bit too late because we should have done it about halfway through the season. Defence, we've heard that Suter might be a doubt, but if he's in, you obviously have to put him in. I think he's probably our first or second choice centre-back at the moment, other than Faiz. Obviously, I'd have him there, obviously. But Marty, it's a dodgy one because if Suter's not there, he probably will be that third choice, and there's an error there. Into the fullbacks, for me, Ricardo has to be in there. Even though he might not be fully fit, you need to give him all the game time. And on the day, I think Ricardo is our best fullback we've got in the club, and maybe even one of the best players we've got in the club. Left back, I'd say Christiansen if he's fit. Otherwise, you'd probably play Castagna there. But I'm not a big fan of him playing in the back because his main role is on the right sided. And then midfield, you'd probably be choosing someone like Dewsbury Hall and I think the first choice midfielder has to be Mendy. I think all of a sudden he put Ndidi in there against Brentford. I thought he did quite well. I thought he was probably my man of the match other than Suter. But Mendy's been given the fight that we need to stay up at the moment, and he has to be in there. Madison has to be in there, obviously in the attack. And then it depends on how you set up front. And for me, Tete's not been the greatest. Barnes, obviously, like you said, the stats don't lie. He has been our top goal scorer, and somehow he's done that. I'm not too sure how, but for me, he's not been impressive this season. So for me, I would go 2 up top, and I'd play Daka in Iheanacho, because I think Daka's more of a first choice now than Vardy is. I don't think Vardy's a threat anymore. And then Kel has been decent the last few games he's been playing. Other than the odd bad touch or whatnot, he has to be in that team for me. So I would drop probably Barnes and Tete.
So, yeah, I agree that you, like say, the team, we should play our best players, and Tete, Barnes, they haven't been amazing. Like I say, it's weird that Barnes does have the most goals. I don't even know what his assists are. They're probably pretty good. Like I said to you, I think he'll get snatched by a top 6 club just purely based on his stats. I think we both said that a bit of consistency is pretty much what's needed, regardless of who plays. At this point in stage, I don't know what our best 11 is. I don't think Rodgers knows what his best 11 is. I just like to see a bit of consistency.
What I will say is, with the consistency and his best team, we know half the squad we've got now is going to be gone by the end of the season, or they're going to be let go. Like the Thomas, you know that he's probably going to be going out on loan. He's not getting into the first team. Why would you keep him when we've now probably got too many fullbacks? With Justin maybe coming back in the next season, he's obviously going to be staying. So there's so many areas that he's probably going to lose out on spots. Mendy, he's out of contract. He's probably been one of our best players this last half of the season. So does it like all revolve around one of the players next season, where you say, okay, so Daka, you're our man. We're going to be playing around what style you want, or in midfield, if we somehow keep Madison, which I don't. Well, I do think we could probably keep him, but if that doesn't happen, then you kind of not revolve around one player, but you kind of suit that style to how a lot of the players you're bringing in works with the team.
I think that's next season's problem. For me, this season, we've got, like I say, obviously we're going to miss Madison, Tielemans. I know Tielemans is probably gone anyway because of his injury. But Madison, there's so many players like Madison and
we're basically going to be like a Forest next season, because I've had to buy so many players in.
It depends on, again, if we stay up, because there's no guarantee we are staying up. These, like I said, there's 6 out of the next 11 games are very crucial. I've said, come Everton game, I think we'll know where we stand in the season, whether we're safe or we're not, because the following fixtures is Liverpool, Newcastle and West Ham, and I think by the Everton game we would know if we're safe or not, just purely based on the fact that we're probably not going to get anything from Liverpool or Newcastle. So for me, I understand that obviously it's like, do we play the players that we know are going to be here next season? Because let's be honest, I mean, Madison's not going to stay. Unless we offer him some beefy 5-year contract, 300 grand a week, he's not going to stay with us at all. Because I think I think you can even tell by his mannerism. It's just little bits I'm picking up on. He seems a lot more chirpy when he's with the England team and those like kind of players. If you look at his socials, his stories since being with England is constantly England stuff. I've barely seen post much about Leicester these days, to be honest with you, on his stories. I see bits about Matchday and that.
But he has. But for me, with the Madison situation is the way he's coming out in the social media and basically not biting, but saying his opinion on what people are saying about how Leicester do and how they're performing. And I like to see that from him. Obviously, he is our captain at the moment, because obviously Youri Tielemans and Evans aren't in there. But again, that is one reason why I can see that Madison either... It's like the Fofana situation. He signed a 5-year deal, but we said to him, you can go. It's given us more money, and it helps us out as much as it's helping you out. For me, giving Madison a 4 or 5-year contract and then let him go next season, for me, is a brilliant idea.
It all depends on what happens at the end of the season. There could be a lot of factors. We could get relegated.
If we get relegated,
he would definitely go if we get relegated. Again, a lot of these footballers, like someone like Tielemans, he's run his contract out. And for me, that was a stupid move on his half, because now he's injured and he might not get signed by anyone when he leaves, and he might have to sign an extension at Leicester, which I would hate. No offence. I don't think Tielemans is a good player. I think he's way too lazy of a player. But for me, Madison, yeah, he shows passion on the pitch. I think for someone like Madison, he wouldn't want to sign a 5-year deal with Leicester anymore because I think, it might be nice money and that, but I think he's just at that age, at 25, 26, where he's going to want to move on to his next. Let's be honest, this is his peak of his career. He'll be moving on to his next club, which would be a top 6 club in Newcastle. He'll be winning things. He'll be in the England team week in, week out. He'll be a great player for England and for his club. I just don't think his club's Leicester anymore. I think we signed him from Norwich, and he's done his service. He's won the FA Cup. He's played well. He's not been childish about it. He's not come out and said he wants to leave Leicester. He seems like he's happy at Leicester. But just like every player is, and unfortunately with Leicester, we are a stepping stone club where a lot of players will join us. Even like Suter and Fies, they've joined us, probably hoping that if they play really well, they'll do what Harry Maguire did and sign on for a club like United. And I hate that business model. I hate that's the way that stuff is for Leicester, but that's just how we do it, and that's how we continue to do it. We'll continue to sign players that could be good,
again, like you say, it could be good, but it's like Tete. We saw one game of him, and he looks outstanding, and then the next 5, he's not been the greatest.
If it was me, I wouldn't. I'd go after proven players, and just for me, that's been our downfall this season. Is that we've had a lot of players. We've signed a lot of players which has capped us with financial fair play, and a lot like say Vestergaard, Bertrand, Samari, Daka, all 4 of them we brought in, and you could argue that all 4 of them don't really get they don't get anything into the first team. Daka and Samari, they might come on off the bench. I don't mind Daka. I think I've said before, I did used to think he was not a good player, but I think again we just don't play him right. That's under Rodgers. He shouldn't have signed him because he doesn't play him the same style. Samari, he reminds me of Slimani, the way he runs around the pitch. He's this giant. I know that Slimani was a striker, but he's this midfield player. But every time he gets the ball, he just looks like a donkey. He doesn't look like he knows how to kick it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's just too slow. I mean, Vestergaard and Bertrand, they don't. Vestergaard's training on his volumes 1 now, isn't he? He's not even training with the first team. So there's a lot of things. Like say, for me, I would just stick with the best 11, and obviously, who knows what our best 11 is? I don't even know what it is anymore, but I'd play just a same formation week in, week out, same players. I wouldn't switch it up. I'd just get some consistency going into the team for the next 11 games.
Yeah, but going back to the Palace game a bit more, as you can see on the table that we're going to show right now, that it is very close, isn't it? Obviously, from 12th spot to all the way down to 20th, it's all about 5 points gap. I couldn't say how many points it is between us a lot, but again, 2 wins out of the next 3 that we've got coming up will basically, I wouldn't say push us out of the zone, but
I think
it will drop everyone else who are playing down, and we'll go up.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that from Palace 12 to, I think, Southampton, who's bottom, it's 27 points to 22 points, which is nothing. Mental. It takes 1 win from anyone to do it. And we just, like you say, we have to be that club to get the win, because if we lose to Palace and all the teams below us win, we're last.
That's where, like I say, with the 6 games we've got, all of them 6 games we've got out of the 11 are all in that bottom half. We have to win. We just can't lose. If we lose any of them, they are the ones that will get the 3 points.
Fortunately, we have not a lucky one, but it is in our own hands. Like clubs like Forest, you've seen their fixtures coming up. They've got way too many.
It is in our hands.
Way too many games at the top half of the table there. Man United, Man Cities, and all those clubs where they don't really have much of a say in the outcome. Whereas we obviously know that if we beat Palace, that's 6 points. We gain 3, they lose 3. We beat Bournemouth next week, they lose 3 points. We gain 3 points. Like I said, the next 3 fixtures, if we can beat all 3 teams, we'll be safe. I think this season, it's all it takes is, because it's not just 3 points, it's a 6 pointer, because they need the points just as badly as we do. And like I say, Palace, it's going to be the tough game. I think it's a very tough game to come back from international break.
But I think the break did help, I guess. We obviously weren't in the best of form. Obviously, we did get a draw out of Brentford, which for me was pretty decent, and we actually performed quite well. But there's a bit of a refresh now. Obviously, going into these last 11 games, you know that there's no break, no nothing. You've just got to get yourself stuck in.
It comes down to motivation.
Yeah,
it depends whichever team's more motivated. If you ask me, Roy Hodgson, I think he can get more motivation out of that Palace team than Brendan Rodgers can get out of the Leicester team. And I know as fans are saying, back the lads, the last 11. I genuinely, I would say against Southampton, I think we'll get relegated if we lose to Southampton. I just don't see what Rodgers has to turn this around. I think we've got a great team of players. This team is easily a top 7 team.
Yeah.
The team of players we've got on a fully fit, match day 11 players. That team is, I say top 7 because we've not lost anyone. We've lost Fofana and the odd couple players here and there, but Fofana wasn't really a game changer. He wasn't the reason we got 5th twice.
No.
So for me, we've got a very similar team. I think that we've got a great team. I just think they're being managed wrong. Palace, again, like I say, it's a massive game. There's not much more to really say about the fact that it's just a massive game.
Yeah.
And for me, it comes down to motivation. Which team's more motivated to stay in the Premier League? And again, I don't know if the players at Leicester, I think there's a handful that are here happy to be at Leicester, but I think there's a very high amount that are just there for the paycheck at the moment.
Yeah, well, like I say, half the squad now is going to be gone by the end of the season unless we do make some incredible impacts and getting a lot of players to stay. Like I say, we know that Suanchu is going to be gone. It's more the likes of Mendy. We know how good he is. You've just got to get him on a contract. If you lose him, you're going to be stuck with the likes of Soumare, which at the start when we bought him, I actually thought it was quite a decent signing. But like I say, now we just see how much of a donkey he is. But yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Anything else you want to talk about? Or?
Score prediction. Right? We'll do a score prediction to end it off. Cause obviously, it's Wednesday, we're filming this. Matches on Saturday. There's a lot of tension. It's a big match to come back. So obviously, you're going down yourself to Palace game, which is always a fun trek down there, isn't it? Down to London.
Yeah.
But obviously, what would you say is your score prediction going into the game?
Well, I've already said my score predictions before. I'd be happy with a draw of any kind. But for me, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Leicester. I think we need to get the early goal. We need to put our impact in the game. If we go 2-0 up, I wouldn't say it's game over already, but you're in a good position to manage the game well. And then maybe if you get to 2-0 at half time, you can try and go for that third. But again, I've only put a goal against us because we can concede all the time. So there's always going to be a goal there against us. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1, but I'll be happy with a draw. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I think we played well against Brentford. Obviously, I was at last Premier League game. Obviously, I think we're back in the team ahead of Ward. I think you've got to be confident going into these next 11 games. As a fan especially, I think you just got to be motivated to get behind the lads now. But I mean, obviously, like I said before, I struggle to get motivated behind the Rodgers' team, but I'll do it anyway. I'll still support them. Have I
got under your skin now? Have I got under your skin to
You've
be a bit more positive?
Because I'd still say sack Rodgers, and I think
I understand that, and I think that I probably would maybe get rid of him in the summer. I just think now with what we've got left, we've got enough. The players have got enough to do.
Fingers crossed, Spurs come and get him because they just sat.
Maybe.
But if I'll say my score prediction, I think. Again, heart and head say two different things, but I'm just going to ignore it. I'm going to 2-0 Leicester, just go for it. I'm not going to concede, which will be a surprise if we don't concede. But I think we need to win. Again, if we can't win, we just can't lose.
Yeah.
There's no choice around it.
That is the situation. That is the thing now. With the 6 games we've got that are in our hands to win, you just can't lose. If you lose them, all of them will make it harder for us to get back out of it.
Against Palace, Villa and Bournemouth, it makes sense for us to draw all 3 than to win 1 and lose 2.
Yeah.
Because it means they don't get any points as well as if we're not getting any points, then they can get no points as well.
Oh yeah. And then obviously with the running order of that as well, obviously if we do manage to get 2 or 3 wins out of that, you're going into the Man City game. Yes, it's a very unlikely that you are going to win it, but with the confidence you might have from winning 2 or 3 games or being unbeaten in them 3 games, you'll go into that thinking, do you know what? We've always challenged Man City at their ground. Yes, it might be hard, but if you're up on your game and you've got the
motivation
to do it, you never know, you get a point out of it.
Yeah, well, obviously, really, thanks for joining us. It's been a good talk, as always. Obviously, very interesting thoughts because international breaks can skew a lot of teams' plans and that. I don't know if it'll go in our favour or Palace's favour this weekend. Say they've got a new manager. We've had a lot of, I think we've got a good amount of motivation to go into the weekend, and both clubs are fighting to stay in the Premier League, as are 8 other teams in the Premier League this season. So, cheers, really. Thanks for joining.
No worries.